Okay, welcome back. We just wanted to go over the E30 and kind of introduce the car and show you guys what we've done and what we've got planned for it, and kind of just briefly introduce the project that is sitting in front of us.
Yeah, kind of give a quick rundown of what's been done already and a quick overview of what's going to be done, so there's a better idea of what's going to be coming up in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just quickly address the situation that is at my garage at the moment. So this is temporary. We just finished parting out my old car after the engine let go. So if anyone needs some E91 parts, hit us up on Instagram or something, but this is temporary and we'll get rid of it soon. Okay, back to the engine. So for the engine for this car, we decided to go with a M52B28. We removed the engine out of a E36 coupe, which had about 140,000 Ks on it. We haven't really done too much to refresh it, like the original head gasket, everything. We've just resealed the engine, so obviously we did the sump because it has to have an E34 sump on it. Valve cover gasket, new thermostat, water pump, pulleys, what else? Intake and exhaust manifold gaskets, and kind of just refreshed hardware wherever we touched it. We're using the factory E30 which came with this car gearbox, which was the Getrag 240. Just had that resealed as well, so just the selector shaft, input and output shaft seals. Flywheel is an M20 with a SAC Stage 2 clutch. Engine mounts are RevShift 24 valve swap mounts, front and rear. We went with the black mounts, which are the softest polyurethane hardness. And the brake booster is a Renault Clio booster with the 20mm spacer in the middle with a factory E30 master cylinder. I think that's about all we have for engine bay side, eh?
Yeah, I mean, 2.8, a lot more reliable than any of the engines that really came in the E30, and it kind of complements this sort of car really nicely.
Yeah.
Power-wise and also reliability-wise, it's quite an easy engine to work on, being just a traditional straight six, and just a great platform to swap into any E30, and even better when it goes into a coupe.
Yeah.
You sedan guys out there, I get it, but the coupe, very nice.
Alright. So just continuing off that, we have also a E46 purple tag power steering rack in there, and the subframe has been powder coated, sandblasted and powder coated black. Also did the offset lower control arm bushings, which you can't really see from this angle. But we did the same thing with new lower control arms, new tie rods, and rack ends. So for the brakes, we're running 325 fronts over, because the body's a 316, it would have had factory solid front rotors. So we've gone to 325, which is a vented rotor front. New Brembo rotors, bearings were checked, that was sweet as, 51mm struts with king springs. The calipers have just been vapor blasted and painted silver just for a nice look. And braided Turner Motorsport front brake lines, which was matched on the rear, which we can go look at. So on the rear, very similar again, this car was a 316, it's a 1990, but it still had a drum brake rear end, so we put in a 325 rear end, which just meant we got the disc brake rear end. Same thing with the rotors, Brembo rotors, calipers have been vapor blasted and then painted silver. Turner Motorsport braided brake lines coming off the caliper and also on the crossover. And then Bilstein front rear shocks and king springs again.
And I think we touched up on this on the last video, but we did end up deciding that these were just lows, not super low springs, just based on the ride height in general, which is great for a street car without going to a coilover setup.
And for the diff, we've just put in a Z3 Torsen LSD, which is a 4:1 ratio, which will pair with the Getrag 240 quite nicely. And medium case axles, of course, because otherwise it'll blow them out.
You are the cutest little garage cat, Steven. Yeah. So we'll just touch up on the interior section of it, coming to the driver's side. So this car was a factory manual, which means the pedal box is already there, but we did chuck in a new master, a new slave for the clutch, and just kind of reconditioned a couple of things under here. The wiring's not really done yet on this interior, and the new head unit is going to go in, which is going to be an era spec head unit, preferably Bluetooth, you know, modernized but era spec, I think, is kind of the important thing with this interior. We'll also go to just a sports wheel, not like an MTEC 1 or anything like that. We kind of just want to keep it the same and matching the car, which I think is really important.
So when we first got the car, we stripped all the interior out of it. So seats, door cards, carpets, dash, everything was removed. Just looking for any potential rust and just to give us somewhere to go from if we needed to address anything. We found a couple spots up against the firewall which needed to be sorted, so they were patched and then painted. Apart from that, it was all pretty clean. So we cleaned the carpet ourselves. We just soap and high pressure cleaned it and then left it out to dry and then put it back in. The seats were put back in. We're not sure if this will be the interior we do end up going with, as the driver's seat, which is not in situ at the moment, is quite damaged. But we're going to leave the factory, the full vinyl, black vinyl door cards, and we'll sort out the driver and passenger seat. And then we'll just put the factory interior back in and sort out the wiring, which is all there. It just needs to be tidied up. There's been some past radio that's been hacked into it, which just needs to be tidied up. And yeah, go from there. So for the car, we're going to have the whole car resprayed in the factory colour, which is silver, obviously, but can't remember the actual silver off the top of my head. So that's already been done partially in the engine bay, which I'll show you in a minute, but the rest of the car still needs to go down, so we're going to remove all the glass trim, chrome trim, and start to sand back the body to get it ready for paint. There's a couple areas of the panels, like as you can see on the boot lid, where there's a bit of rust, so we've got another boot lid that's going to go on it. But apart from that, she's all pretty solid. Moving up towards the front, the engine bay was sprayed first so that we could move the engine into it and leave it in there once it's running, so you can see that it's already been painted. And the guard liners have been sprayed with a sealer, just as they would factory pretty much. The underbody is matched all the way back to about the front of the driver's door at the moment, and then once we go down to spray the rest of the car, it'll be the same all the way underneath as well to protect it in the future. Good.
Okay, cool. So that's it for this video and introducing the E30 project. I think the next couple of things that we're going to do are going to be finalizing the engine and sorting out the wiring loom and kind of just getting everything situated. The wiring's probably going to be in its own video because there's quite a bit to touch up on there, and I feel like it's a good video considering that most of the wiring in this is old.
Yeah, and it's all quite a common swap.
Yeah, exactly. And then a majority of other videos coming up actually is just going to be us tinkering on a couple of different things. The headlights, headers, and all of that. So yeah, this is the E30.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, please. Follow our Instagram.
Sweet.